Our journey at Carter Cave State Park began at the Welcome Center, where we purchased tickets to a guided tour of Cascade Cave. Cascade Cave has 3 separate caverns. The cavern we entered through is called the Ballroom, known historically for dances that were held here in the 1920s. We were able to see a cluster of baby bats, which is something we've never seen before. Deeper still, we entered the Lake Room. This is the largest cavern of Cascade Cave. A pool at the bottom reflects the rocks back so perfectly, you almost think you're staring into a deep chasm. This room was my favorite. Behind us, we turned to see Cascade Avenue. I paused to observe what looked to be a natural bridge underground, the first arch I've ever seen beneath the surface. This formation is called melted ice cream.
This is really awesome.
We are now standing in North Cave. There was a building that sat over the top of this area until it burnt down in the 1930s. Why, you might ask? Old-fashioned air conditioning. This ceiling-to-floor formation is called the Cathedral and is part of what's called the Graveyard. These are calcium deposits. This formation is called Wedding Cake. Little did I know, we were about to be immersed in complete darkness for a few minutes. Our guide began to tell us about studies that showed most people could not survive in the dark isolated for very long. I began to imagine how I might find my way out of this cave in the pitch black. We made our way back through the lake room, and I was able to see the underground river that flows out the back of the cave. These are some of the features along the passageway out of Cascade Cave. If you look closely, you might see a dragon. A stalagmite and stalactite that meet in the middle are called a cone. Cascade Cave is still actively growing today. The last feature on our tour was a short above-ground walk to Cascade Falls, a 30-foot waterfall inside the cave. This concludes our tour. I'll put a link in the description. Since we were already here, we started out on Box Canyon Trail to see Cascade Bridge. This arch is 30 feet high with a span of 40 feet. I stood wondering how this might appear after a heavy rain. Would there be a waterfall in the middle? It's just over a half-mile out and back to Cascade Bridge, but if you'd like to hike the entire loop, it's 8/10 of a mile. Now we're heading back to the Welcome Center. Off to the left of the Welcome Center, you will find a trail to Natural Bridge. At the bottom of the hill, you'll want to travel left along the hillside. Look for the white trail marker. Interestingly, this arch is the only one in the state of Kentucky with a paved road over top. This massive formation filled me with wonder. I highly recommend you make the short walk down to see it. On my way out, I paused to take in the beautiful way this arch naturally frames its own entrance. I'm still in awe of this spot, and I can't wait to revisit. Next, we headed across the road from the Welcome Center to Three Bridges Trail. This is a 3.6-mile loop featuring three arches. We happened upon quite a bit of wildlife in this area. My favorite sightings were the red-headed woodpeckers and bluebirds. The first arch we reached was Smoky Bridge. It's the largest natural bridge in this park. As I stood here taking in the various vantage points that make this massive formation so unique, I was awestruck. I could not get enough of this arch. I've only recently begun to explore some of the arches Kentucky has to offer, and I'm very happy most of them are a day trip away. They are so much closer than Arches National Park in Utah. That doesn't mean I won't visit Arches National Park, but these are much closer. The view above felt like I was standing in an outdoor cathedral. Truly amazing. This concludes our first day at Carter Cave State Park, and we are impressed. Join us for day 2 as we venture to more arches and caves.